must disperse immediately. This is no longer a peaceful protest when you try to injure people.
All right, here we go. Potentially again, preparing for new flare-ups in Ferguson. Missouri Governor Jay Nixon just activating the National Guard and declaring a state of emergency as a grand jury decides the fate of the officer who shot Michael Brown. A decision could come at any moment to the judge on what happens maybe soon after that. Judge, explain about this grand jury. You always remind it's different in different states. What is it like there?
The grand jury in Missouri consists of 12 people chosen by the prosecutor in conjunction with a supervising judge. This particular grand jury has 9 whites and 3 blacks. It's 6 men and 6 women. Missouri law requires a vote of 9 in order to indict. So the process occurs in secret. The government presents witnesses to testify before the grand jury. The prosecutor explains the law to them and sort of pushes them in the direction he wants them to go in. They could indict for simple manslaughter, which is basically an accident that results in a human death. They could indict for aggravated manslaughter, which is a behavior heedless of the likelihood of death. Or they could indict for second-degree murder, which is the knowing, unjustified killing of somebody without planning or plotting. Obviously, the differences are huge. Second-degree murder in Missouri is 20 to 25 years. Manslaughter is 3 to 5 years.
But it's 9 of the 12.
Yes,
decide.
It's any 9.
It's not unanimous.
It's not unanimous, and it doesn't have to be the same 9 on each count.
Imagine if it's 9 whites who vote this way.
Well, I think if that's the case, theoretically, we're not supposed to know which 9 it is. But if we find out,
do you find out later?
We may find out at some point. That obviously would exacerbate the reaction. The governor is obviously preparing for the worst. I'm not suggesting he knows what the outcome is or when it's coming down. I think he's probably trying to prepare for something because he was caught unprepared last time around. But it does appear as though they've stopped presenting witnesses, and it does appear as though they're in the deliberation stage. Once they deliberate, then a clerk will type up the indictment, and then it's released to the supervising judge, and then it's made public, come what may.
The consensus, Judge, is that if this officer is found not to have done something wrong,
I mean, if he's not indicted for anything,
there are riots, and it's out of control.
There probably will be a reaction, a serious reaction, and that's why the governor is preparing ahead of time.
So, again, you touched on it, but the fact that he's doing this, is that just to be safe, or do you think he's telegraphed something?
I don't know. Theoretically, no one should be told, but I can understand the governor being told because it's an issue of public safety. And look, whatever this grand jury...
When you say the governor told, so someone passed along, governor, you should know it's going to go.
You should know a decision's going to come down day and time.
I see.
And the decision might necessitate additional law enforcement in the streets. But, Neil, let me remind you of this. This grand jury's decision is not the end of it. There's a federal grand jury that Attorney General Eric Holder is waiting to impanel if this grand jury does not indict. Why? Because in Attorney General Holder's view, not only might state law have been violated by this police officer, but federal law might have been violated as well. If this grand jury indicts, the feds won't do anything until the trial as a result of the indictment is over with. If this grand jury does not indict, look for Attorney General Holder and the federal prosecutors in Missouri to convene a federal grand jury right after the first of the year.
Even though they would all but be assured of knowing that this would trigger something pretty bad.
Yes. Yes.
Where does this ultimately go? I mean, in this whole process, if this officer gets off here, can they hire him back? Would they hire him back?
I don't know the answer to that, but I hope where this goes is a decision based on the merits and based on the evidence in the case, not based on politics and certainly not based on racial politics. I would hope that the prosecutor has told the grand jury they must do the right thing irrespective of what they think, how they think the public will view it. And prosecutors usually tell that to grand juries. On the other hand, the days of grand jury independence, in my view, are history. Any prosecutor that wants an indictment will get one, and any prosecutor that does not want an indictment will make sure that one doesn't come down.
But without the noise of the federal government getting involved.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
You're the best. Thank you, my friend. Make sense of this craziness.